Good morning and welcome to episode 127 of Duval Rundown. My name is Gus Logue. Today I'll be going over my thoughts from Jaguars rookie minicamp. Jaguars 2025 rookie minicamp was May 9th through the 11th. I was only out there with the rest of media on Saturday, May 10th. It seemed like there was a good amount of season ticket holders that had the opportunity to go out on the 9th as well. But I'll just be talking about what I saw from the 10th and especially what the position battle at wide receiver 5 might turn out to be if you're looking at the title. I think it could come down to Josh Cephus or this year's undrafted free agent, Eli Pancol out of Duke. But before we get to that, let's start with Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter certainly looks the part. He's starting out completely on the offensive side of the ball. He'll begin practicing on the defensive side of the ball on the field starting next week, according to Coach Cohen. But Travis Hunter has already been integrated into the defense a little bit in terms of defensive meetings and certainly in terms of getting his hands on the playbook and going through that. But he's gonna be playing offense for the most part, obviously, for his rookie year in Jacksonville. So he was on the offensive side of the ball for 100% of the time on Saturday. It looked very smooth, getting in and out of routes, as has been talked about for the past few weeks. His energy is certainly contagious. There's a lot of times that the Jaguars fans in the crowd at the Miller Electric Center got on their feet and cheered him on and let out a bunch of Duvals, which I guess isn't necessarily surprising considering he's the second overall pick and the Jaguars moved up to get him, and he's a former Heisman winner but still, I mean, he was dancing around the sidelines. It was pretty much everything you wanted to see from Travis. I guess I don't really have too many notes on him. I did say before last week that like one thing I was looking forward to was seeing how he was deployed and whether it was mostly offense or mostly defense. And I thought that was the one thing I'd be able to actually take away. And so, yeah, 100% offense. Spent a decent time talking just kind of off the side with Jacksonville's new wide receiver coach. But Travis Hunter looks the part. He looks very, very good. Of course, it is padless practices. They're just running around in shorts and shirts. But, yeah, Travis Hunter looks apart. The quarterbacks didn't really make much of an impact in my eyes. There was undrafted guy, Seth Hennigan from Memphis, who's been a little bit popular just because he's got some notoriety from participating in John Gruden's quarterback camp over at Barstool Sports. But I think he and then Kincaid, let me find the pronunciation. Kincaid Dent was also brought in, which I think was just because the Jaguars wanted to operate with two quarterbacks in all of their drills. I think last year Mac Jones was the only quarterback that was participating at rookie minicamp. And obviously Mac Jones wasn't a rookie last year, but he was just a new face, new addition. So they wanted to bring him in to just get some reps, but also to be able to have a quarterback to be able to work through a lot of different drills. And so I think Cohen wanted two quarterbacks at rookie minicamp to be able to get through drills. And so that's why Dent was there. But I didn't think either of them were particularly impressive. I think my stance before training camp or before rookie minicamp is the same, where the Jaguars are going to carry two quarterbacks most likely on the roster, and it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and Nick Mullins. I mean, maybe John Wolford will fight a little bit against Nick Mullins for that second quarterback spot, but Wolford wasn't out there today. And so I guess quarterback 2 might be a position battle to watch out for the rest of training camp, but I don't know. I'm still seeing it as Lawrence and then Mullins. At running back, Bay Shao Tootin really impressed. According to the pronunciation guide in front of me, it is Bay Shao Tootin. Bay Shao Tootin. I've definitely been saying Bay Shul Tootin, but it's Bay Shao Tootin, the 4th round running back out of Virginia Tech. I posted 2 clips, 2 videos on Twitter and Blue Sky over the weekend. One was of Travis Hunter catching a football and like stiff arming a dummy. And then the other was Bay Shao Tootin doing like a footwork drill with the other running backs. And I thought that the Travis Hunter one, if either one was going to blow up, I didn't expect either to, but I would have thought the Travis Hunter did. But fantasy football people got their hands on Tootin. Obviously, that mix of people is very interested in the rookie running back. But Tootin looked really good, not just in the video that I posted of him online doing one drill for footwork, but he was really smooth in a lot of different facets in a lot of different drills. He did have one drop, and on the other hand, 7th round pick LaQuint Allen had some really good reps in pass catching drills specifically. He looked really smooth in that regard. And so maybe Allen will have a little bit of like a head start over Tootin in terms of throw down work, both as a pass catcher and as a pass blocker. But in terms of as a pure rusher, Tootin really looks the part. I heard saying an unnamed 10-time radio host was saying that Tootin like looked just like rookie year MJD out there on the field. I don't know about that, especially since I wasn't here. I was like probably 10 years old or something like that when MJD was a rookie. So I don't know, but yeah, Tootin looked good. He definitely impressed, and so Tootin I think made a positive impact or was positive, had a positive performance in anyone's eyes that was there on Saturday. The wide receivers I'm going to skip to for now. I already talked about Travis Hunter, but we'll go back and talk about the wide receiver 5 position battle. Tight ends, Sean Bowman was there, undrafted free agent from last season, so he was kind of he's currently on the 90 whatever it is man roster right now, but this was kind of a extra opportunity for him, as well as Josh Cephus in the receiver room, who's also a UDFA from last year, to just get more reps and more practice, and especially in front of this new coaching staff. Patrick Herbert, the Oregon tight end, Justin Herbert's younger brother, wasn't particularly impressive to me, honestly. I mean, mostly because when you're out there, again, it's like the guys are running around in shirts and T-shirts, and so you're kind of mostly basing your, I guess, evaluation of them at practice based on their movement skills and just how fluid they are. I think that's a big reason that a lot of people, including myself, was so impressed with Josh Cephus last offseason and last training camp and last rookie minicamp, is because he's such a smooth route runner. And so Herbert, not particularly smooth. And so I don't think he was necessarily supposed to offer a ton of receiving upside in the first place, though. And so I'll definitely be intrigued to continue to watch Justin Herbert's younger brother, Patrick Herbert, at the tight end position as the pads come on, and maybe he proves that he has more value as a run blocking tight end. At offensive line, only 3 offensive line, which is not a lot for rookie minicamp. There's 7th round pick Jonah Monheim out of USC, 3rd round pick Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia, and then undrafted free agent Sal Wormley, who I think is definitely a name to keep an eye on. I didn't spend a ton of time watching offensive line on Saturday. The one thing that I thought was interesting was that Wyatt Milam, who played offensive tackle in college and is projected to play offensive guard in year 1 and beyond for the Jaguars, he was actually taking a lot of center snaps. But I think that was just out of necessity. Like I was talking about quarterbacks at the top of the show, I think Milam was just taking snaps at center because they didn't have a lot of other options. Obviously, they had Jonah Monheim there, who was a center in college and will be a center in the NFL. But since they had 2 quarterbacks, they needed 2 centers. And so Milam stepped up. Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see or hear whether the Jaguars think he actually has 5 position versatility along the offensive line. I think Milam is more like Walker Little, or not even Walker Little, because I think we've kind of learned that Walker Little is pretty much a left tackle anyway. But I think Milam is like either a left tackle or a left guard. Maybe you could move him to the right side, but I mean, at 6'6" and 317 pounds, that's would be a unique frame for the center position. Usually you rely a lot more on kind of finesse and smarts, which I'm sure Milam has. But yeah, I think, again, if anyone saw Milam taking snaps at center, then I think it was just out of necessity and not necessarily a sign that like he's going to be competing with Robert Hainsey to be the week 1 starting center or anything like that. Don't really have any notes on the defense because I was hanging out on the offensive side of the field. There's 2 practice fields at the Miller Electric Center that are outdoors. One is usually on offense. One is usually for defense. I say usually. It's always that way. And so I was on the sideline that was closest to offense to make sure I got that Travis Hunter content. So not a lot of notes on defense. I think I saw Ethan Downs once. Didn't see who's the Jalen McLeod really had all the 6th round pick. I think that Rayon Lane III actually did impress in special teams drills that I saw, especially compared to like the other guys that are with him in those drills. I think that's a pretty good indication. You can at least use it as a way to measure individual drills, is just based on basing the one player on the other guys that are doing the drills. And so that's one of the reasons that Tootin stood out, especially in footwork drills, is that it, like, just in a vacuum, it looked really good. But then especially compared to the running backs that were going after him in the drills, then Tootin's footwork really stood out. And so in the same vein, Lane's special teams ability, especially in gunner drills, kind of beating press coverage off the line of scrimmage and then just sprinting down in pseudo punt coverage, Lane was pretty impressive. And so he's kind of gotten this mark as like a special teams ace, a guy who can come in and be a core 4 guy right away. But I certainly hadn't gone back and watched the Navy special teams film or anything like that. And so it was definitely good to see that Ryan Lane fit the part, or kind of met expectations, at least on the special team side of the ball. But to get to the main topic for today, I think that the Jaguars' wide receiver 5 spot, which is now vacant after the team released Gabe Davis last week, is going to come down to Josh Cephus, who I mentioned earlier as a undrafted free agent from last year, who is on the team, on the roster right now, but still invited to participate in this past weekend's rookie minicamp. So it's going to be between Josh Cephus and Eli Pancol, I think. Pancol really stood out to me as a guy that, similar to Travis Hunter, kind of seemed to have infectious energy. He was always dancing around, or not always, but a decent amount of the time dancing around on the sidelines, just high energy in general, both during and then in between drills. But he's got a pretty impressive frame. He's, I think, 6'1", over 200 pounds, really strong mitts. It definitely stood out that he was like one of those guys that attacks the football whenever it comes, rather than letting the football come to him. It's not like really saw anyone out there making a lot of body catches, but Pancol's mitts definitely stood out to me. It seems like he's got some really strong hands. And so I think that, honestly, a lot of receivers stood out. Again, and this is like mostly because they're in shirts and shorts, like movement skills as much as anything else. But Cephus, of course, still looking very smooth. Pancol, I just mentioned. Travis Hunter, of course, was the smoothest guy out there. But I also thought that Dorian Singer, who's wearing number 13, Darius Lassiter, who's wearing 45, and J.J. Jones, who's wearing number 87, all stood out to me. I thought they had some pretty impressive reps. We're definitely playing to and through the whistle for the entire duration of practice. So they stood out to me. And the other guys that were there were Cam Camper, who wore number 17, and Chandler Brayboy, who wore number 15. Pancol is number 10, by the way, at rookie minicamp. But those other two guys, like, I don't necessarily think they were bad or like they didn't have a case of the drops or like had sloppy footwork or anything. It's just, again, compared to the other guys, I didn't think they stood out as much. But again, the Jaguars' top 4 receivers right now are Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, and Parker Washington. It's certainly a mystery of who their 5th wide receiver is going to be, but it would be a pretty big surprise if they did not have a 5th wide receiver on their initial 53-man roster, let alone maybe even a 6th wide receiver. But I do think that Pancol might even have like the edge over Cephus if it does come down to just the two of them. Like, obviously, we're still a long ways away, a couple months away from that 53-man roster being finalized. And so any of those names at receiver could certainly kind of continue to make more of a splash and more of an impact throughout the offseason, especially in terms of like meeting rooms and things behind the scenes that myself and fans and media and the public aren't privy to. But Pancol certainly stood out to me. I think he was went undrafted mostly because he had a 2023 injury. He did rebound from that injury pretty well. I think he had 9 touchdowns in 2024. But then maybe the NFL just didn't really see him as the athlete that his pro day performance says that he is. He had a really good time, like a 4.33, I think, 40-yard dash, which I believe was the same 40 time that Brian Thomas Jr. ran last year. So really fast guy, again, really good, not great size, I guess, but definitely adequate size, and then really strong mitts from what I saw on Saturday. And so I think Pancol also provides a lot of special teams value, which is why I think he might have an edge over Cephus, again, if it is just between the two of them, because Cephus is a guy that the reason he went undrafted, I think, is just that he certainly doesn't have like great long speed. He's a guy that wins based on like just like the smoothness that he has and the savviness that he has in his routes and the ability to uncover and get open. And then he's got pretty good hands, but isn't like a crazy good maestro or anything like that in contested catch situations. But Cephus was a really productive receiver at UTSA at the college level, but didn't really do much on special teams from what I remember, but including in Jacksonville during his rookie year. And so I think that certainly the receiver drills and the receiver meetings and all of that stuff will be important. But for this wide receiver 5 position, I think that a big reason that Gabe Davis was released is that if he was going to be the wide receiver 5, then he needed to contribute in other ways than just being a backup receiver. The wide receiver 5 spot needs to be a backup receiver, but also like someone that can contribute on special teams. Like you got to be able to contribute in some way. And Gabe Davis probably wasn't going to contribute on special teams. And so that's obviously, I feel like special teams contributions are almost like a cliche during the offseason of I'm sure that some fans are like understandably sick of hearing about like how valuable special teams is, but it really is valuable, especially when we're talking about the wide receiver 5 spot in spots kind of more towards the bottom of the depth chart. And so, yeah, to me, I think it's going to be Josh Cephus versus Eli Pancol for the wide receiver 5 in Jacksonville in 2025. We'll see how the two of them in the rest of the receiver room and kind of pan out for the rest of the offseason. But yeah, I guess the one other takeaway that I had from rookie minicamp from being there on Saturday was that it was cool just like seeing the new staff and a lot of new faces there and just a lot of new drills and a lot of new ways of doing things. I think the last year's rookie minicamp was the only rookie minicamp I have been to, but I have been to Jaguars' practices for the past 2 years. And so seeing how Liam Cohen is doing things differently from Doug Peterson is pretty cool. I guess one thing specifically that stands out is that Travis Hunter specifically or individually was kind of like redoing drills on his own whenever he like didn't think he did something the correct way in receiver drills. Then he would just go right back to the front of the line and do it again. Excuse me, something in my throat. But I think that Liam Cohen was the same way, where Travis Hunter, I think that he was just doing that himself. It's not like coaches told him or asked him to do that, in my opinion, or in my assumption. But Liam Cohen also, like whenever the offense broke the huddle wrong or whenever there was like a boarded snap or whenever anything went wrong, rather than just like moving it on and just saying that you were going to fix it in the meeting rooms, which is something that the last regime did. Liam Cohen and the entire staff and all the players would correct the mistakes right there on the grass in real time. And so I think that was refreshing to see for sure. And as a whole, just the new faces, seeing James Gladstone still have a football in his hands, seeing Tony Baselli, who's usually out there for like Jaguars practices, but obviously now in a new role, he has a little bit of a pep in his step. And then it was really cool just seeing Liam Cohen kind of like in his environment. I think he's been a little bit not in his element during like his introductory press conference when he let out that infamous Duval, and then in just talking to media in general. I don't think that he's like uncomfortable or bad at talking to media, but clearly he's more in his comfort zone when he's on the field. And so it was pretty cool to see Liam Cohen operating where he should and where he is. And so, yeah, that pretty much does it. Doesn't really look like there's any questions in the comments, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 9:04 a.m. with Hayes Carline. We will probably be talking more about rookie minicamp takeaways, so make sure to tune in. But this NFL schedule release, I believe, is on Wednesday, so maybe we'll be previewing that. We'll certainly have plenty of NFL schedule release content on this channel for the duration of this week. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Take care. See you guys tomorrow. Adios.